And if your heart stops beating, I'll be here wondering, did you get what you deserve? The ending of your...
Hi everyone, I'm Catherine from the Lady Critics Library, and this is my review for Dearly Departed by Lia Habel. I read this book, oh my god, I don't even know how long ago. It's following along the same lines of A Spy in the House. I think I read it in like November? Just a second. Yeah, I read this book back in November. Granted, it was the end of November, but that's 5 months. But anyways, making up for it now. So this is the first novel in the Gone with the Respiration, I'm going to say series because you say trilogy nowadays and a 4th book pops up. In November, there was a Ontario book blogger meetup in Toronto at the beginning of the month. And I'm not sure who it was. I'm gonna say it was Brenna from Esther's Ever After. I may be wrong, but it was someone. I have a feeling it was Brenna because I think we were talking about this book. But anyway, she just raved about it. I had gotten it from NetGalley a while before, and I just hadn't gotten around to reading it. At this time, the book was already out in stores. To my knowledge, I had seen it around, and I was like, oh, I have that for review. Why would I buy it? It's really hard to describe. So basically, people have reverted back to Victorian era being, but they have technology. So it's like a weird type of steampunk where it's not steampunk, it's like electropunk. Can I make that a term? Anyways, so they have all of this like legit technology, like touchscreen TVs and cell phone type things. So it's not far off from what we currently are. There's a lot more to it. But then they also have things from Victorian England, and they have like dirigibles. Were dirigibles from Victorian England? So bad at history. But anyway, so it's this really strange sounding mashup to begin with, and then you add in zombies. So you're like, I'm not going to swear in this video, but you're like, okay, so how is this going to work? Which was my legitimate question. I'm like, I don't know about this. I mean, steampunk is one thing, and zombies is another, and there have been books that have mixed the two, like Gail Carriger's Parasol Protectorate series, which is an adult series, to be fair, and it has a lot more paranormal elements to it, whereas Dearly Departed is just zombies. So I wasn't quite sure how this was going to work, but I gave it a shot, and I've rambled about that long enough, so let's actually get down to the actual book review. I legitimately started to write this review, I don't know how long ago. It is sitting on my computer. It just wasn't happening. I tried. I mean, everything I did sounded like shit. Like, it was... ugh. Like, it was just bad writing. So, I didn't want to do a review like that would not do the book justice. So I just quit. Which is why I'm not doing this video. The main character is Nora Dearly, which is where Dearly Departed comes from. So, she is a well-to-do daughter from this crazy medical doctor, scientist guy, Dr. Dearly. Anyways, beginning of the book, her father is dead, and she is just finishing her mourning period, and that's pretty much when shit hits the fan. So it's been a year since her father has died, and so she goes to this well-to-do ladies' college thing with her best friend Pamela, who is there on scholarship. Her parents are bakers. See, I remember the weirdest little things, but not the big plot things. Anyway, so, you're introduced to the two of them first, as well as, what's her name? Vespertine Mink is like the mean girl. I would probably use more colorful language in real life. But anyway, so you are introduced to these main characters first, right off the bat. And then from there, it sets the scene as like this new Victorian, and then you get introduced right into the new electronics that are a part of this as well. So it's the mishmash of the new and the old. And the girls are all going home basically for summer. And that's where the entire action takes off of. Stuff happens. News of an outbreak, because they don't classify it as anything quite yet, kind of gets out. And Nora gets kidnapped by zombies. Within the first few pages, I'm going to say a couple chapters at least. So I'm not really ruining anything. Anyways, so after this happens, because that was the catalyst for the entire novel and all of the activities that go on after, Nora then meets Bram. Bram is the main love interest. This novel is actually a retelling of something. I don't remember anymore. It's kind of a retelling of Beauty and the Beast in a little way. I mean, obviously, you know, Beauty's alive and the Beast is a walking animated zombie. But it does share a lot of components with Beauty and the Beast. So, yeah, Nora gets kidnapped by zombies. And zombies have been integrated into the military, which Bram is a part of this elite force, let's call it. And then you meet all of the other characters who are also in this elite force. And I believe there is Chaz is one. Her real name is Chastity, but if you call her that, you'll more than likely get your head kicked off, as long as, you know, you're already dead. There's Coal House, and then I think that's the only character names that I wrote down. But anyway, so Nora, of course, acts as a proper lady should and just freaks. And then the story just kind of goes on from there. There's a lot more to it. There's several more layers. There's points of mystery. There's points of who done it. That's the same thing. Anyway, there's war that's about to break into the modern world. There's of course the zombie apocalypse happening. There's the scientific side of that, which is fantastic to read about. And that's basically the book. And I don't want to say more because stuff happens and yeah, I don't want to ruin anything. But anyway, so let us get down to basics. Well, I try and adjust myself. I'm sitting on the floor, by the way, which is why I don't have my usual background. This is the window in my room. I am sitting on the floor because it's the only way I could prop my camera up on something. Side note. Characters. Nora's our main character. We have Bram as her love interest. And trust me, even though he's dead, he brings on the swoon. I'm just saying. So Nora and Bram, it's such a sweet relationship. I mean, Nora really has a scientific head on her shoulders. I mean, she's a very intelligent character, which is fantastic to read about. And she's skeptical. I mean, who wouldn't be? You're living in a zombie fortress kind of thing. Like, it's very strange. But she takes it kind of all with stride. And I like the fact that her reactions to everything were very realistic. I mean, I'm sorry, but if I got kidnapped by zombies, I would be quite literally making heads roll. But she's a proper lady, so I guess that says something about me. But she does. She takes it very strong. Like, there's not that... First of all, there's not an instant love between the two of them. Like, that's legitimately something that really, really builds as the story goes. Which is... The beginning of such is based on their trust that eventually Nora earns of Bram. Bram earns Nora's trust. I think I butchered that. But anyways, so... there's that. And then, I mean, Nora's thrown into this very kind of otherworldly situation where she meets people whose, you know, limbs are rotting off and they're still moving around and eating. Not really eating, but eating. So you get to know this basically band of misfits of all of these elite force zombies, and especially specifically the force that Bram, or the squad, I guess you could call them, that Bram is a part of. So it's all done very well. I mean, Bram is a fantastic character. You really get to know him. You get to know the different layers and how he became a zombie and everything else that goes with it. So it's not just, I don't even know what I'm saying, but it's kind of just like you're not just thrown into this situation. And the characters aren't just like slapdash either. I mean, they're very well thought out, even though they're dead. Even the secondary characters, they have backstories to them and they have personalities attached to them. It's fantastic. And then on the other side of the fence, quite literally, you get integrated into the upper class and you see what's going on, and you get to know those characters very well, like Pamela and her family. Her little brother, I just kind of wanted to slap in the face the entire book. Like, that kid did not have a brain on his head, even though he was still alive. So, I don't know how brief it was, but I did touch on the focal points for Scene and where the basis for a lot of the happenings in the story are. So I'm kind of just going to skip over that. They were really well written. They were very well meshed together, and you could definitely see a lot of the thought process that went into it, which is fantastic. The plot itself was really well done. I mean, especially because you're getting these duo narrative points. Most specifically, you have Bram, Nora, obviously, as the main character voices, but then you also get several chapters of Pamela so you can see what's happening on the other side of things. And then there are a couple more character viewpoints that you do read of as the chapters all alternate, but I don't, like I said, I don't want to give away everything. So it's just, there's at least 3 main aerial settings, let's put it that way, but they're brilliantly described, and the way that the chapters alternate, it really goes well together. And yeah, it's just, I don't know, I really like this book. I am looking forward to the second one. I have no idea when it's coming out. One would hypothesize it'll be out sometime this year, since this one came out fall of 2012. And I really do want to see, especially from the ending the way that it was, and from what I can remember of happening, because honestly, sometimes I think I have the memory of a goldfish. It did leave you wanting more, while not being like, you know, for example, any of the Nightshade novels, and you're like, really? You're gonna end it there? Oh, okay. Let me just wait another 12 months until I can find out what happens next. No, it wasn't like that. It was finished very nicely, but it did leave open for what obviously are going to be the following books. So that was very nice. Yeah. I have no idea what to rate this novel. I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10 on my scale. It was a very good book. There were a lot of things that stuck with me, and quite obviously, very obviously, a lot of it didn't. So it wasn't necessarily a book that stuck with me where I can recall every single detail months later. But I did really enjoy this book. I am genuinely looking forward to the second. I can't wait to see what goes on with it and what else happens with these characters that I have come to know quite well because of the way that they were written. They're written very well. Yeah. So that's it for me for Dearly Departed by Lia Habel. Did I just butcher that name again? Lia Habel, not Liz. I'm sorry. Oh my goodness. It's just so many awesome names. Lia Habel, not Liz. I totally put a Z instead of an A where that should have been. But anyways, yeah, so Lia Habel. Look forward to her second novel coming to you in stores sometime soon. I'll put a little notation down here somewhere. Right along here somewhere. of when it'll actually be released. Until next time, I will see you guys later, and happy reading. Bye everyone!